4 seconds, Jeff.
Good evening. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I would like a motion for approval of this evening's agenda with the addition.
I will move tonight's agenda with the additional item E2. Support.
Motion was made by Commissioner Catane and supported by Commissioner Stroh. Is there a discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Now for the minutes.
I'll move the minutes for the regular meeting held May 15th, 2023.
Support. Motion was made by Commissioner Catane and supported by Commissioner Swindell. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. And now is the time in our agenda for the public comments. And first, I would like to call up Commissioner Brad Hagedorn.
Greetings from the county.
Thank you.
First off, thank you to Ramona for moving me to this week's meeting as I have a scheduling conflict in 2 weeks. I am happy to say that my 3 points, the first one is a good one. Barring any last minute fiascos or anything, we should be voting on the new county administrator's contract this Thursday. His name is Moses Zanzo. So I'm very excited about that. I think him and Mr. Womack will play very nice in the sandbox, which we have not had in many years. Speaking of Mr. Womack, he will be speaking at this Thursday's committee of the whole meeting for us, introducing himself to all my fellow commissioners. I thank you for that. And then the last one, I was able to speak with our prosecuting attorney today. I have not seen our agenda yet because we get it on Tuesdays, but we should. He did his third and final reading over our last two, or not our last two, the first county, Lapeer, to have an exotic animal ordinance and a dog ordinance, vicious dog ordinance. This dog ordinance is not breed specific. It is all encompassing. So we will be the first county to have both of those in the state of Michigan. And of course, once we vote on it, it then has to have 2 public hearings for public input. And obviously I will cascade that to you guys once we get it. Awesome. Any questions? Very good, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for your report. Sorry.
Dear Heavenly Father, I pray that you fill this room with your presence and your Holy Spirit. Thank you that we can come to you with concerns, cares, gratitude. Lord, I just thank you for what you're doing in our city. I pray that your hand would remain on our city. You continue to protect our police officers, our fire department, and all the people that serve this city. Thank you for the changes that will be coming. I pray that your hand would remain on those changes. Lord, we know that unless you build the foundation, it won't stand. So many are the plans in a man's heart, but your purpose is always prevailing. We're so grateful for that. Thank you that you are a father that we can come to for so many things. Lord, you love all your children and you want the best for them. You have a plan and a purpose for every single person in this room. You have a future plan for them. Lord, I pray that we would all seek you, seek your way, seek your purpose, seek your will today, tomorrow, and in the coming months. Pray all these things in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Anybody else? Okay. The consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support. Motion was made by Commissioner Stroh and supported by Commissioner Swindell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Bill listing, bill listing.
I'll take it. Make a motion to approve the bill listing for June 5th, 2023 in the amount of $433,417.33.
Support.
Motion was made by Commissioner Katane and supported by Commissioner Stroh. Is there a discussion? Hearing none, there should be a roll call vote.
Commissioner Atwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Katane,
Yes.
Commissioner Patterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Stroh,
Yes.
Commissioner Swindell.
Yes. Motion is carried. And we have a resolution of Genesee Street water main replacement. Update.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes,
So this is simply appointing myself to be the administrator for this grant that we're applying for so that I can sign documents on behalf of the city.
ready for a motion? Commissioner Patterson.
Okay, make a motion to approve the updated resolution for CDBG funds for the Genesee Street Water Main Replacement Project.
Support. Motion was made by Commissioner Patterson and supported by Commissioner Swindell. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. No public hearings this evening.
You have the addition.
Oh, you have the addition? Yep, we have the addition. Okay, so the addition is to approve the E2 annexation, or not, to discuss E2 annexation by choice area resolution for the Al Cosmo Mill.
I make a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing annexation of the property to the city of Lapeer, El Cozumel LLC.
Supported.
Okay, motion was made by Commissioner Katane and supported by Commissioner Stroh. Is there discussion regarding that?
So, Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
So the city was approached to add this to the agenda immediately. We've been working on it since I believe Friday. We just got the final details today. You know, I don't know what's going on here. This is possibly predating me. I sent it to Mr. Ball. He indicated that he wasn't, aware of the site plan for this property. And I don't know how the city likes to do these things. In my previous community, we wouldn't accept the 425 unless we had the approved site plan. Because there's a possibility that somebody wants to bring their property into the city, they submit a site plan, and then the site plan gets turned down. And now their property has been brought into the city, but their site plan is not approved. So I don't know how the city's traditionally done it, and certainly don't want to change things midstream, but that was the concern in our previous community. So this is something that you guys have worked on previously, but you kind of know what's going on.
Predates me the last time we had a major annex
We've not-
property.
Done one with this. Josh would have been.
At the planning commission level, we have, and I try to find the site plan, I could not find it. But it's a couple of years ago, really. Did we approve the site plan?
We did.
We did, so
There
it's
was
somewhere.
a sit-down restaurant with the drive-up
So if the site,
facing M24.
That was a walkable.
I mean, yes,
Okay.
not a drive-through.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
so if the site plan was approved a couple of years ago, is it possible that the ordinances have changed? Because I would imagine that that site plan is now null and void, is expired.
I see it extended
I
it.
think it's been extended.
I thought it was extended, but it's no longer on our, that project list that we received from the planning department.
There's certainly nothing really bad for the city. If they have something 425 done, it's bad for the developer, the property owner. I just don't, I'm trying to look out for their interests. So I just want to make sure that we're all kind of aware of what's going on because, I'm not up to speed on this one.
I remember a full discussion, but I don't remember whether it was discussed with Lapeer Township and how that fit in.
Well, you know, it was-
My understanding with this is that 3 of the 4 parcels of property
are in the city. This fourth was not. And that is the request for the annexation to make this whole for the entire project, number one. Number two, it has gone to the township for their blessing on moving forward. And it's now to us.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to substitute my, because I'm not the developer, I don't know what's going on. I just want to make sure that we have a discussion about it before we sort of.
Yeah, being that it was 2 years ago, I don't remember all the details, so it's gone through the steps that I believe that it needs to go through.
It has drug out, don't get me wrong. This has been going on for quite some time, and it seemed like the township did not approve it until just last month or a month before. It was also a recent blessing. It was in 2023.
And I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, and not to point out the obvious, but it's been going on for 2 years, and then they submitted on the date of the meeting to get approved. What's the harm in waiting 2 weeks to get a more solid explanation about what's going on? That's kind of where I'm at. I mean, we're waiting 2 years for this project, and then they show up the dates of the meeting.
I find it hard to make a decision when I don't have all of the information in front of me, and I just saw it when I got to the meeting. And, playing catch up in Jason's email and things like that, but,
I know that we did have discussion with regard to this restaurant coming in, but there was also that this was, that it was understood that at the time that this was not a drive-through, and everyone had given their full blessing and was very excited about this project. Now, they still have to go through the hurdle of driveways and MDOT,
Yes.
as the other businesses will have to as well.
Part of it, I think, too, was COVID. I don't know if that was part of their delay. They have them, I don't know if they have more than two, or one other, but there is a restaurant in the Burton area. But they've been there for many years. And then when it came to talking about site plans and building and furniture, COVID came, and I think there was a little delay on a lot because they weren't able to get the furniture and equipment that they needed at that time. But I don't really see a problem with it.
Madam Mayor, if I could, I actually talked to the owner a couple weeks ago, and he's just FYI, they're definitely looking to break ground this summer. They're excited to get here, and there was an issue with their own funding contractors. So I think they want to have a site plan approved probably within the next month or two. He said he wanted to break ground, be building on that place if all things go well. It might take about 7 months to complete.
And again, not to be devil's advocate, that we do want to be business friendly, but, we're going to have a planning commission meeting at some point to look at the site plan for approval, I'm guessing, because it's been expired. So I don't see the harm in delaying for 2 weeks while we sort this out. We bring up the old records and we kind of see what the past has been. I mean, no offense, but this is kind of a lot of oral history here. And sometimes our memories are faulty. So I prefer to see it come back in 2 weeks.
So can I ask a question? Why was this forced into this agenda?
So it was brought to the clerk, and the clerk and I discussed it, and I said, well, it's possible that the council's going to have good recollection about it. Of course, I hadn't talked to you guys before just now about this, and I don't want to hide things from you and take away your option to do it. Because, of course, I could have come in here and you guys said, oh, yeah, I remember this project, it's absolutely doing this. But I'm seeing a lot of mixed feelings from this board about what the history of this project has been.
What's your pleasure? Do you want to put it, I don't know, well, putting it on hold by 2 weeks. The next plan is not on the agenda for the planning commission. I didn't take a look at that, and that's next Thursday.
I don't want to stand in the way of progress. I don't want to stand in the way of positive business coming to our city. It does make it sound logical sense to hold if it is not on the planning committee's agenda. But if they're looking to, and this is, thank you, Jeff, for the information, but if they're planning on hoping to break ground, they still have a fair number of hurdles that they need to jump.
Could it get added to your planning commission meeting? There's enough time, 10 days,
I mean, these two,
no?
I don't,
I mean, this guy added ours in a matter of a couple hours, so like, is it possible for them to, in the next 10 days, get it on the planning commission agenda?
Well, frankly, I don't even know if that's the next step for this, because I know very little about it.
Right.
Mr.
Zoning
Ball-
would be the next one, is what the agenda is.
So Mr. Ball's gonna be in the office
well, they could do
tomorrow,
it just like
and
this.
that was gonna be part of what I was gonna ask him tomorrow morning, is to give me an in-depth brief about this. Because, 2 weeks is not that long for this.
This week.
Yes. I guess I was operating
Well, it's
under the
this
assumption that you had received more adequate information to push this onto this evening's agenda.
Madam Clerk, is there
It's-
something I'm missing in this? Because you were the person who dealt with the developer.
So it was dropped on my desk on the 12th of May. And I kept waiting for the rest of the information to come in, and it didn't come in until Friday. And then during Friday, there was a mistake in Lapeer Township's resolution. So we couldn't get it together on Friday. And they determined, I guess this morning, that they could just correct the resolution without having to take it back to their board. So I tried to get it through, spoke with the manager and tried to get it through so that I wasn't the one that was holding it up. That's it.
the planning commission meeting is this Thursday,
It's this Thursday.
then I will withdraw my motion and we can wait 2 weeks.
If they're already approved and extended, they don't need to go to planning, the next stop is zoning. And it has been on the list, I
Does
don't
it
know
have
if
to
it
go to
was
zoning?
extended the last time it expired, but
I don't know if
It
that's the
is not on the list. It looks like it's expired. It's not on the pending list.
It has not been extended.
Maybe that's why
It
it's
has
off
not
the
been
list.
extended.
It's not on there. I didn't see it on there, I read through it all today.
Yeah, that's why I double checked. I did not see them.
unless it just expired recently,
Yeah.
just a couple months ago.
Okay.
It should go through the planning commission first, I guess,
Well,
just to have it reviewed. I mean, it's, the final piece is put together, I guess what they were waiting for is the top, is what they're
was the
talking.
township.
The rest of it was approved to my knowledge.
Worst case scenario, we could hold a special meeting on just this one item. If it's really something that needs to be.
Mhm.
Okay. Good with that.
Madam Mayor, do you
I'm asked, I'd like to have a motion to table it to the next meeting, or if it's needed, a special meeting.
We have a motion on the
Yeah,
floor.
we have a motion on the floor.
Yes.
that Didn't get
He
it.
withdrew,
Your
I
support
withdrew.
didn't-
I will withdraw. Support on this measure. Y'all, thank you.
Motion to table this item for what, till our next meeting, or if a special meeting is needed?
Support.
Motion was made by Commissioner Catane and supported by Commissioner Stroh. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Now, hope we can be at the Road and Park non-motorized trail rehab project.
I make a motion to approve the engineering services agreement with MLR Engineering for the Road and Park non-motorized trail rehab project and authorize the city manager to, or their designatee to sign on necessary documents.
Support. Okay, motion was made by Commissioner Stroh and supported by Commissioner Swindell. Is there discussion regarding this project?
let's just make sure we got good underlayment. So the last, for the full, what they saying, 25 years?
Yeah, that's amazing.
What's underneath it, what matters.
This would be a roll call vote.
Commissioner Cotain,
Yes.
Commissioner Patterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Stroh,
Yes.
Commissioner Swindell,
Yes.
Commissioner Atwood.
Yes.
Motion is carried. Rezoning for B2 general business to PUD plan unit development. Mr. Passive.
I'd like to introduce an ordinance amendment to Chapter 7 zoning ordinance, Article 7.02.02A 35 of the general ordinances of the city of Lapeer.
Support. Oh, just an introduction. Okay. We can move to the electrical inspector. Commissioner Cotain.
Make a motion to approve the contract for electrical inspections to be performed by Mark Reisel and authorize the mayor and city manager to sign all required documents.
Support.
Okay, motion was made by Commissioner Cotain and supported by Commissioner Atwood. Is there discussion? Commissioner Vance.
Yes, one question. Is this going to be a city employee position or a contractor?
Yeah, so both of these are independent contractors. They've been working for the city for quite some time now. Good at the jobs, easy to work with, and I negotiate this contract with the help of other employees.
As I was reading it, they will do work when we call upon them, but about how many days a week would they be available?
That's a good question. Unfortunately, I don't know. Like I said, they've been doing all the inspections for electrical and plumbing for months and months and months. Somebody, staff, know the answer to that question? Well, they've been around for some time.
I believe right now they're currently working a couple days a week.
Will they be able to work more if we need them?
They have been helping us since, prior to Gerald leaving, they were our contractors to assist him. And then since he's left, they have increased their capacity to help with the additional duties.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Do you want to do a roll call?
Oh, yes, for this money.
Commissioner Patterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Stroh,
Yes.
Commissioner Swindell,
Yes.
Commissioner Atwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Cotain.
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. Okay, now for the next one. Commissioner Patterson.
Make a motion to approve the contract for plumbing and mechanical inspections, building inspections, and building official services to be performed by TP Israel Company Incorporated, and authorize the mayor and city manager to sign all required documents.
Support.
Motion was made by Commissioner Patterson and supported by Commissioner Atwood. The discussion on this one. Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Stroh,
Yes.
Commissioner Swindell,
Yes.
Commissioner Atwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Cotain,
Yes.
Commissioner Patterson.
Yes.
Motion is carried. Okay, then we have several items for our city manager. Mike.
Great. Yes, thank you. So I inherited this one, the Andrews River Estate SAD, which I hate that acronym, but it works. So this is a special assessment district for this neighborhood. When the neighborhood was built, for whatever reason, they did not put down the top layer of asphalt. I visited this neighborhood a couple times now. The asphalt is in just terrible condition. There are some places where the dirt is actually coming up through where the asphalt should be. The Department of Public Works has put together an estimate with engineering, and the city's policy is to have a special assessment for, I think, about 30% of the total value. So staff and I have been working on some of the details. And let's see here. Total cost looks like it's gonna be about $400,000. We do have a couple of parcels that are partially covered by this. And a whole bunch that are fully within the asphalting district, the special assessment district. So I think at this point, I just want to keep you guys informed, so if you have any opportunity to ask questions, discuss this if you'd like, address any questions you have for me. And then in the very near future, we're going to put together a motion for you guys to approve.
Is there any questions at this time?
Curiosity about this one. Was it the residents that triggered motion on this movement or plan, or was it city administration that, I can't remember. I know we discussed this item during the budget meeting. Was it the actual residents that started to say, hey, our road stinks? Or was it us, the city, that said, we gotta do something about this road?
So I know that there have been a number of people living in the neighborhood that have contacted the city and said, hey, the road stinks, let's do something about this.
Got it.
But, if you drive out there, you'll see it's about a half inch to an inch lower than the curb is.
Right.
But I asked the same question because, of course, we do a democratic process here, and it's been 20 years. You think somebody would have noticed this 20 years ago and done something about it, but I mean, you have the pictures in your packet here, and if you drive out there, it's just absolutely atrocious conditions.
It is bad.
So we certainly don't like doing stuff like this, but for the longevity and usability of the neighborhood roads, I think it's Mr. Graham, do you have anything to add to that?
No, it's, I didn't believe Dale did want me to do the special assessment on, but I was contacted by at least 3 different residents in that subdivision in there.
Commissioner Patterson.
Just a general knowledge, when we do a special assessment district for roads, how long do we extend that out for?
I believe it's 10 years, and on a per parcel basis, people are going to be looking at a $200 to $300 special assessment per year.
We can move on. Your next one.
Yes, sorry, I forgot I had to work here. Expanded social district, yes. So Mr. Alt and I, we've been town around quite a bit in the downtown area. And so one of the things that immediately came to my mind was the Pix Theater and the Pocket Park that's next door to it. Apparently we do concerts in that park throughout the summer. I sure like enjoying the beverage when I'm listening to live music. So I said, well, why don't we expand the social district over to the Pix Park and the Pocket Park? So that started a whole conversation about, what licenses exist and where we could possibly do it, what the back history is on the social district. So I asked them to put together 2 proposed possibilities, at least, for discussion purposes. One would go to Saginaw, I believe. And then the second one would go up Saginaw a little bit to Cheers Park. So there are 2 main problems that I foresee with this. The first one is the county's property on the south side of the road, the courthouse and the pavilion. Again, I wasn't part of the past history. Mr. Hagedorn's been great to work with on this. I'm hopeful that the county will be okay with something where we'd be allowed to extend the social district past that point. Certainly we want to make sure that their property is respected. It's not damaged, it's not abused. So there may be some signage requirements. We may ask the police to keep close on something. And then we also have 2 road crossings. Pine being one, it's kind of a minor street. Is it Pine Park? Pine Park.
Pine.
2 keys.
Fine, you're right.
Okay, fine. But the Saginaw one is much more complicated. It's a much more major road. Mr. Graham and I were talking about this, about the possibility of getting more pedestrian lights out there. Also, the city currently uses, I forget what they're called, they actually have names, the actual painting on the asphalt going across. We currently only use 2 lines. A lot of places have switched to zebra crossings, which are, the thick lines all down the middle. people are not drunk in these social districts, these shouldn't be drunk in the social districts, so we should be able to trust them to cross over roads. But I think in a greater sense, we need to do a better job of making pedestrian crossings on our roads safer just because. So I don't know which way the board wants to go with this, but I bring it to you to consider and discuss. And if you're interested, we'll do the additional work of putting together something to actually change the district.
I just have some questions, and it's only because I was part of the original discussion with social district. At the time, and this was during COVID, they were trying to extend social districts to also allow for commerce for restaurants and bars. But in the original language, it used to be that it needed to be within the confines of licensed establishments. Has that been altered?
So in my previous community, we had, the bars in the downtown. And then we extended it out to the park, which was right next to the downtown, but further away from where the licensed establishments were, because that's where we held it for concerts in the park. So there was no reason to go there except to enjoy the concerts in the park. So based on that, I'd say.
I know that the state was, as the years have progressed, they have been working in massaging that language.
It's evolving.
Yeah, and it's great. Mike, I know that our previous chief of police, Frisch, was also concerned with Saginaw, that if we were to extend it across Saginaw and include, at that time it was Fat Boys and Cheers, into the social district, that should something happen to the north and southbound M24, that Saginaw Street is the emergency route, and that it was his recommendation at the time not to cross over, to eliminate that concern just in the case of emergency. On the flip side, I also don't want to exclude Cheers since they're in close proximity, but I also just want to make sure that we're all aware of what the concerns were at the time. I don't think anything has changed with our infrastructure, so to speak, of if something happened to our M24 north-southbound, that would be the emergency north-south route. There were multiple options, and some included Nepessing Street not highlighted using sidewalk illustration. Some included Nepessing Street being highlighted. And then there were other proposals in this packet that I found confusing that included the restaurant's physicality, the physical location of the restaurant, and some that did not include the restaurant, but included the adjacent property. And I'm just hoping for some clarification.
So I did not put these maps together. These were put together by Mr. Alt.
Okay.
And I appreciate the work you put into this.
No.
But, if the city is willing to close the roads for some of these events, which we're permitted to do under state law, I don't see why you would even have a sidewalks only version, because it's simple enough. If you want people to stay on the sidewalks, you keep the road open, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think he went a little overboard with the number of maps he presented, but I think he was doing his best to show you exactly what he was proposing. Again, this is just for illustrative purposes for you guys to consider and look at and discuss. So, really the question is, do we go up to the fixed Pocket Park Theater, which I guess would be Pine Street, or do we extend it all the way across Saginaw? Those are the real two basic questions. And then, of course, whatever county will work with this on.
Commissioner Patino.
So this is now from year 3 with the social district. So year 1, the social district was the pavilion to just east of Buyers Furniture, and then that was the cutoff. It was a success. There was no negative experiences with authorities and intoxications the whole year. The only issue was, hey, we have these little ADB signs. So, obviously it was an experiment, but it was still successful. Year 2, public safety and city administration were all for expanding the social district down to Exit Realty, is I can go off of that. And, again, year 2, same thing. There's no negatives, experiences, no successful. People are starting to learn how to do it. I am all for expanding this thing. I would share we got to yield to public safety and the opinion of public safety when it comes to Saginaw. We have other businesses. We don't know. There's a dream where the fire happened. Odds are there's probably going to be some dining. I would hope there. Axcadia opening up. Hopefully they get their beverage permit. But again, somebody may buy Fat Boys Flanagan's, and it's open and something different in the future. I hate to exclude other businesses from the downtown. Public safety has to come first, but expanding this thing, I'm all for it. We have 2.5 years now of proof that it's not causing a problem.
Well, and just, I'm so sorry. Go ahead, John.
Okay, I also am not opposed to expanding the district. My concern actually though is I'd like to exclude the pocket park. We have no place downtown that's not included. And if we excluded the pocket park from the district, we've got a family friendly place where there's not going to be alcohol. Otherwise, our entire downtown area can be open containers. So that's how I want to do that.
I don't know if you're looking for counterpoint, but I don't see alcohol as being anti-family.
I agree. I mean, I drink with children at my family events. I have a beer or whatever. But do we have a place where people can go and not have it?
Well, not downtown.
Right.
Well, that's
We got all the parks.
I mean,
By the large,
we have-
the parks.
There, I mean, to play devil's advocate, yes, we do have areas that are designated that do not allow alcohol at the parks. Andrew Park is a block and a half away from the pocket park. I would like to see, and to keep this in mind, that, this social district allows people to traverse from one restaurant to a location, but they are not allowed to bring their beverage inside of a business or into another restaurant establishment. This is to be able to walk and traverse, and so to go to a pocket park to watch a concert, I do see it as sort of a natural thing, but I can understand that families also that have alternate thought process. But there are non-alcoholic environments that are family friendly within our city.
To go off of that, this is the to-go cup, and this is a lot of things that we're outside of the bikers on Friday. Hey, this is not a BYOB downtown. Stop bringing your coolers. You want a drink, that's fine. You go into the restaurant and buy your beverage. Okay, that's why we have the social district. You don't have a to-go cup, you're not legal. You don't have one of the cups from these restaurants, you are not legal, you're in violation. So, I mean, in a theory, if somebody leaves Wood Chips and they want to go to the pocket park for the summer concert series, they have one beverage, they're not getting a refill unless they're walking back to Wood Chips or another establishment.
And Mr. Passon, just to your point, so one of the things that I at least proposed to Mr. Hagedorn is that we could exclude the pavilion and the courthouse lawn area from, possessing alcohol, but still the sidewalk you could walk down to get to, wherever you go. So that would be a family-friendly location.
Again, not necessarily saying I'm totally opposed to it, but throwing it out.
No, I'd like all.
Good discussion.
Yeah. So I'm not hearing any opposition, so if it's okay, I'll bring it back and we'll see it in a more definitive form. Mr. Howe, while we're chatting, do you have anything you'd like to add from the police perspective?
No, I think the Saginaw Street is a valid concern. Chief Risch is correct in that being an emergency bypass for 24. But I do believe, correct, or with the signage and the lighting, and we post, worst case scenario, we post an officer there during an emergency where we have to help direct from that intersection too. It's just a thought. I still think it get done to get to the other side. uses.
One other point to that, we also have heavy pedestrian traffic on Saginaw, we back up road, because of road part of the trail system there. You know, so we already have a situation, before you exit the city limit, the trail that goes back over towards the water treatment plant.
Right.
You know, so we have a similar situation with heavy pedestrian traffic with Saginaw already with that, so that is just something to throw out there. Granted, I know, they're not tailgating, they're not the football game, you know, it's hard to see. It's hard to see people coming.
And not to expand, and I apologize, not to expand, but would this not also be a positive for possible business purchasers of the Flanagan Spec Boy property if it were to be included in a social district area as a possibility to attract an additional restaurant or business there? So I think we need to pay attention to that also.
Yeah, just another thing to consider, if you look at Oxford, 24 of right through the middle of their social district. I don't hear a whole lot of issues happening down
That's a good point.
there. It's great.
Well, kind of what I've seen like Friday night is people were confined, not really confined, but they hung out in,
In their
from here right before the old courthouse, and then there was like no one. So they're like confined to this little area, so on events where there is drinking or whatever, I think spreading it out to include almost all of the Main Street would be beneficial for walkability and just to stretch out, all of downtown.
And not to lengthen the conversation, because we've been talking about that for quite some time, but those are very valid points, because I've talked to the business owners down there, and they say, I hate the events because they don't come down.
Right. We need to include that.
Yep.
We want this to be good for the businesses, I'm grand. The only time I really see 24, unfortunately, having to be shut down is in severe accident. I'm sure that Chief Hall can come up with
We could come up with
a game plan for that.
So without objection, I'll bring it back to this.
Yes, thank you.
So the joint meeting, I believe this is part of the Main Street program that the board is supposed to meet with the planning commission and the DDA board. I don't know which other boards are supposed to meet, but other boards. So I've spoken with the mayor about this. I'm not sure you guys want to hold this meeting and then another meeting afterwards. So what I propose is you're off Mondays. You see June 12th, 26th, 10th, and 24th of July. Because we have to notify the other boards, we might want to push it into July, the 10th or the 24th.
At least the 26th.
Or at least the 26th, yeah. June 12th is coming up quick, right?
Yeah.
So another thing is, this room's a little bit small for holding a meeting like this. We might want to put it to the center building, where I believe the Legion has been used in the past. And then Mr. Ball and I are working on a possible agenda. It'll be educational, a little interactive, and some socializing.
Dodgeball?
My only question in the past has been that it's been the planning commission, city commission, and then we included the DDA. I think it would be important though as well because for TIFA, because they're involved in a lot of our projects, and the ZBA. Now, it would not be, were they
Yeah.
last time? Okay. So the only one that would not, has not been invited would be TIFA.
We'll invite all sorts.
So invite everybody, if they show up, right?
Mr. Hagedorn, does the county want to come?
I'm sure.
I think Tony already answered.
I was reading your mind and I knew it was a
Hey,
no.
you're gonna be there Thursday, you can propose it,
I'll throw it out there.
here we go.
There you go. I think the 26th of
Commissioner
July.
Stroh,
Are we on
Janice.
a time, are we on a time crunch? Why are we pushing it into June and July, or do we have a deadline?
I don't know if there's a time
Is-
crunch.
There's not really a time frame except that we've met once a year. It was January, February, and then it got pushed this year for a lot of different reasons. So here we are. It should be.
I know that annually we have to do it. It actually is a benefit to, all of the, plus for the Main Street.
Some of the boards have requirements
Right.
for these kind of trainings.
Checks off the education.
It does check off an educational component for RRC and I think MEDC or something.
Yes.
But I guess I'm just trying to avoid July for me. With this person.
You want us to look into August?
If I wouldn't be, I wouldn't either.
I'm sure Madam Clerk knows the opportunities in August.
I want to say the 7th.
14th and 28th, but the last of the month is the Sunday.
This is ZBA meeting, yeah.
Yeah,
You
you
have
can't
to
do it
Wednesday.
the
Also, the
the 26th and the 24th are going to be
The
our meeting.
14th and the 21st are the off days. 7th and the 20th and the 21st are your meetings.
So the 14th and 21st, you're saying?
I'm good for August
The
14th.
7th and the 21st are, the 7th and the 21st are your meeting dates.
Yeah.
So your off meetings are the 14th or the 28th of August.
So I'm saying August 14th.
But the 28th is out because the ZBA has a meeting,
Yeah. So it'll be August 14th.
probably.
And obviously, those are all just Monday dates. If you wanted to meet on a Wednesday or, I don't know what day the planning commission meets, Thursday?
Thursdays,
I apply for August 14th.
the second Thursday.
Whatever works for you guys' schedule, I'll be there one way or the other.
I'm fine with 14 August, but I want to make sure that we're not missing a deadline that is necessary.
So I'll talk to Mr. Ball tomorrow morning about this. We'll preliminarily say August 14th.
Okay.
And more details to come.
Okay.
It's going to be a heck of a meeting, Mr. Ball and I leading you guys in educational things. All right, solicitors, canvassers, peddlers, transient, or itinerant merchants ordinance. So this came up in the last week or so. In reviewing your ordinance, it looks like the same stock ordinance I've seen in 30 other communities is probably written in the 70s. Although yours doesn't appear to have changed since the 70s. It has a number of requirements which are a bit much. So one in particular is that the proposed transient merchant has to provide a doctor's note indicating that they don't have communicable diseases at the time. Yes.
From a city doctor.
From the doctor in the city? Yes. So it's a bit much. Now, obviously, in today's world, we don't want a ton of people going door to door to do sales. We do want those people to be safe. We don't want them to be criminals. So there are appropriate measures that the city should be taking to ensure those things, but perhaps a doctor's note is a bit much. So without objection, I would go through the ordinance, make some proposed changes, and bring it back to you.
That would be perfect, actually. Anything that was from 1970 should definitely be looked at and updated.
Everything comes all the way back from
1967? Okay.
Before many of us were born.
Well,
I said many, not all.
Okay. So city commission meeting, July 3rd. It's an interesting date to hold a city commission meeting. I'm not sure how much would be on the agenda that date. Don't know how many of y'all will be here that date. So I wanted to at least, put it out there and see. I don't want to, have a scheduled meeting and then find out we don't have quorum. So I guess any discussion on that point, especially since the next day is some kind of holiday of some kind.
in the thought process for this, for me, I also thought about department heads and employees who may have already requested some vacation. Or certainly they want to. Mr. Stowe.
I voiced this concern even when there was a meeting that only took 5 minutes and it seemed to be a joke that was the shortest meeting that we've ever had. And I actually took offense to it, that we were joking about not conducting business. We meet 24 times a year with our commission. And I feel that we do have business that needs to be handled, and this is a transitional year. I think that if we don't have our department heads, I would request, or I would like to see that the commission use it as a workshop or something that is progressing with moving our business forward, that we are productive with the date. I understand that it's the day before the 4th of July, but I still think that work still happens.
So as counterpoint, there's lots of cities that only meet once per month. And of course, you guys don't know me yet, but you know, I'm here every day of the week. We do tons of business all throughout the week. Department heads are doing tons of business all throughout the week. And I understand that we meet 24 times a year, but sometimes there's nothing that's urgent. There's nothing that needs to occur. And I hate to bring staff in and you guys in, so we'll be in where we do nothing.
Is there a possibility of moving it to, that Wednesday? If the holiday is on a Monday, we normally move it to Tuesday. Well, it doesn't work this time because the actual holiday is Tuesday. Mr. Paxton.
We have nothing in our ordinances that would prevent us from moving it to the 5th, Wednesday.
So I'm not opposed to that, but I guess what I'm saying is, if there's nothing on the agenda, then why hold the meeting?
But there should be something.
If there is stuff on the agenda, then maybe we do hold the meeting. I'm not trying to skip out on the date itself, I'm saying. if
I
there's nothing on
understand
the
what
agenda,
you're saying, but
certainly makes it more palatable to do it.
do you know if there's going to be nothing on the agenda?
I don't. And of course, again, I don't know how the history has been here with canceling meetings, or if any meetings ever been canceled on the Dale.
We have done it.
But normally, the process would be able to speak with the mayor about it, and then, I believe, at least under Robert's rules, the mayor and city manager can cancel meetings.
We did do it at least once, not twice, around the 4th of July.
Anyway, throwing it out there for discussion.
I'll be around. Doesn't matter to me.
You need to.
I'm not doing it.
Madam Mayor, I guess we'll talk before the meeting and we'll see how it goes. I feel like I've got something else here. Various matters. I'm sure I've got many various other matters to discuss, but I'm writing them down. So I've been doing I don't know if you want just a generalized report. Am I elsewhere on the agenda for that? Oh, yeah, closing comments. I'll reserve for closing comments. Thank you.
All right. Well, it's time for our city attorney's report. Hi, Dennis.
Hi, how are you? Good. I don't really have anything of substance to report on. I've been working with various department heads and working on a few projects, but nothing to actually report on.
Okay. Thank you. And then we have unfinished business for appointments to our boards and commissions. And under mayor appointment, I would like to appoint Eric Catane for the EDC, Tifa and Brownfield Board, and Kathy Manchester. One term is June 1st, 2027, and the other is June 1st, 2029. So it doesn't matter to me, it's up to the commission for your final approval. Commissioner Catane, do you care which one term you take?
I'm a glutton for punishment. Give me the number for that, yes.
Okay, so I will ask for a motion to appoint Commissioner Catane to the June 1st, 2029 seat, and then Kathy Manchester to the June 1st, 2027 seat.
I make a motion to approve or appoint Eric Catane to the EDC TIF Brownfield Board with the end or term dates ending on June 1st, 2029. We do these separately, correct?
I thought we could do them together.
You can do them together.
Because it's under one.
Yeah, and he gave me specific.
And as well as Kathy Manchester to the same board with an expiration date of June 1st, 2027.
Support. Okay, motion was made by Commissioner Stroh and supported by Commissioner Swanjala. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. We want to probably mark you down that Commissioner Matteen staying. You did. You're going like that.
So just evidence, not video.
Because
There you go.
Say I abstain.
I abstained.
Silence gives consent, so.
Good point.
All right, the next one is under the Commissioner's appointment for the zoning board of appeals. Commissioner Katane.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Mr. Dwayne Berta to the full vacancy position of the zoning board of appeals with a 3-year term expiring April 1st, 2024. And then appoint Mr. Gerald Gecke to the alternate vacancy position expiring April 1st, 2024.
Support.
Motion was made by Commissioner Katane and supported by Commissioner Stroh. Any discussion?
How come it was the other way around?
That's just how it was.
There was a flip-flopper who put their applications in first. Mr. Gecke was
They were within a day apart.
a couple days after Mr. Berta applied.
Anything else? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Okay, we're back to public comments. There you go. We'll move on then to closing comments. Commissioner Katane.
I'm a big fall of emotion because my daughter's graduating this week. So anyway, I'll just jump to, hey, congratulations to all of our seniors out there. It's, the gray hair is finally earned. So I was happy to jump in there with the DDA and some of the members of the Lapeer Community School System this afternoon and hang the school flags there on the poles. And so, hey, folks, just a reminder, Thursday swing out. So, no reckless driving downtown, please. But it's super exciting to have this experience with her. She's a great kid, and just this class of kids is just awesome. I want to give my thanks real quick to the organizers of Bike Night and the city who was involved in support of Bike Night with the feedback I got from all the business owners and or employees of said businesses, thumbs ups from everybody I talked to. They're happy. The bikers were happy, community happy. So for those involved with Memorial Day, setting up downtown for the parade, thank you a ton. And every year I always tell Mr. Jim all that and the DDA the greatest theft of ideas they've ever had was stealing the hometown banner, hero banner from whatever town in Ohio Jim saw that in several years ago. I just love it. And I know so many of our people of our community love those banners. So great job, everybody.
Commissioner Atwood.
I have nothing tonight.
Commissioner Stroh.
I too have nothing.
All right. Commissioner Swindell.
Just that summer's coming, school's out next Tuesday for the rest of the kids, the seniors are done, but next Tuesday's the last day for the rest of the kids. So keep your eyes out, there will be children running around, going to the parks, we have lots of neighborhood parks and lots of neighborhood kids. And so just keep an extra eye out, it takes a village and we can all watch out for each other's children going back and forth. The graduation is this week and the parents of the senior class always put on an amazing project graduation party. They go from graduation to dinner with their parents to the school for a lock-in for the night. AAA, I don't know how many years ago, at least when I graduated some decades ago. AAA did a study and said that that was one of the most deadly nights for kids that age. So they put on this huge party. It costs $40,000 to $50,000 that the parents fundraise. And kudos to them to keeping our kids occupied and safe that night. If you see a senior, thank them and try to keep your hands on your balloons and don't litter them about during swing out. That's all.
I'd just like to thank our new board appointees. Your city appreciates it.
Back to you.
Thank you. I've now been here for 27 days, I believe. I've visited a ton of businesses in the downtown area, been hanging out with Mr. Alt, and we've been going to businesses. Ms. Wendell and I went to a couple businesses together. Trying to get to know the community. After the last meeting with two gentlemen who came and talked to us about pedestrian safety, I spoke with them for about 45 minutes after the meeting. I've been visiting the parks, going and hanging out with my department heads, and they show me kind of their thoughts and concerns about the community. It's been a whirlwind of activity. Everybody I've met has been great. This is a great community, but it can be better. So we're working on that, and hopefully we'll move forward together.
I have a few announcements. The farmers market continues every Saturday and Wednesday through October 25th. And in the same location as last year, parking lot number 5, which is behind the Choice One Bank. It was Saturday, and there's quite a few vendors, so it's real nice. Monday night car cruise continues from 5 to 9, and that event will take place on Mondays through September 11th. And summer concert series is Thursdays from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And that event will take place in the Pocket Park until August 10th. And then Friday Night Bikes began, as you know, last Friday, and will continue most Fridays through August 11th, 2023, from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Isn't it pick up after a few days? Yeah, that's not accurate. But, okay, so it's closed for the week during the pier days, but otherwise it is open through the end of September, I think.
No, it's gonna end a little bit
Mid-September.
earlier
Oh,
this
this
year
year.
versus last year. I think it's mid-September, 2 weeks earlier.
Okay.
Because the last 2 weeks last year was.
Because it gets cold.
It's the 15th, I believe.
Okay, September 15th. All right. That's that. And then I just wanted to express great appreciation to our police department. I was contacted by a couple of business owners where our law enforcement had worked with them, and they couldn't have been more happy. Our officers are doing a terrific job, and I just wanted to get kudos and for you to pass that on to them, to thank them for everything that they did. And there's always comments of good, how other good things that have happened with our other departments as well, but that was recent, so I wanted to bring that up. And that's all I have, so
Motion to adjourn.
motion has been made to adjourn.
I know I don't think.
There has to be.